Compass Box is a brand that's been getting a lot of love recently, so today I want to go through the entire core range and I'll give you my personal ranking of all 4 of these whiskeys. Stick around. What's up guys, Jeff coming to you from the 18 in Taipei, and today I want to look at the Compass Box core range. All of these are whiskeys that are widely available, generally affordable, and they all do pretty different things. Now, if you've been following the channel recently, you know that the Compass Box Orchard House was my whiskey of the year for 2025, so is that going to take the #1 spot? Stick around and find out. Also, yes, it will. I'll be ranking these from least favorite to favorite, but right out the gate, I do like all of these whiskeys. They're all really solid, and as far as I'm concerned, this brand doesn't really do anything wrong. As always, I do have a mystery pour in my glass. Your hint for today is that this is a very popular blended whiskey that comes in a 500 ml bottle. So good luck guessing, and let's jump into it, ranking the Compass Box core range from number 4 to number 1. And yeah, I guess you already know what number 1 is, but we do need a hook because it's YouTube, so ranking the top 3 behind the top number 1.
Ranking number 4 to number 2, and you won't believe what number 2 is.
Ranking 3 of the 4 bottles that are not in first place. You won't believe where I put them. Anyway, I don't have a better hook than that, but please keep watching. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. All right, at the back of this list, we have Peat Monster, which as the name suggests is a peated whiskey, and this is a really good one. It is all blended malt, meaning there is no grain whiskey in here. It's 46%, it's non-chill filtered, and it's natural color. One thing that I love about Compass Box is that they are very transparent and they'll give you a lot of their production details if you go to the website. So if you check out the website for Peat Monster, it'll tell you that the majority of the whiskey in here is single malts from either the Kalila distillery or the Williamson distillery. Williamson, by the way, code for Lefroy. It's also 1% Highland malt blend, so basically a mystery malt. I'm sure they would tell us if they could, but unfortunately, lawyers exist. This stuff is mostly matured in refill bourbon casks, so no cask aromatics here. This is peat, it's smoke, it's ash, a bit of vanilla sweetness, a bit of citrus, and actually a very nice texture. This is a pretty straightforward peaty whiskey. It's not super complex, but it is well executed. It doesn't taste young, it doesn't taste thin, and it does have its own character. If you were to give this to me blind, I would probably guess that A, it's a single malt, and B, it's from Kalila. It's the Kalila character that shines through the most here, which for me is a good thing because I like Kalila. Unfortunately though, something does have to come at the back of this list, and this is it simply because I think this is really well executed, but it doesn't quite have the same wow factor as some of the other bottles on this list, and I just think the other 3 are a little bit more interesting. Excellent whiskey though, highly recommended. Peat Monster at number 4. At number 3, we've got Crimson Casks. This is once again a no age stated blended malt, so no grain whiskey, and once again 46% non-chill filtered natural color. This one's been getting a fair amount of hype over the last year or so, and I get it. For casks, there are some bourbon casks at work here, but this leans heavily into both sherry casks and red wine casks, and that's what's doing most of the talking. For our component whiskeys, we have Glenmorangie, Teenanick, Benrinnes, a Highland malt blend, and a single malt from a distillery near Aberlour. This gives us spice, dark sugars, a rich fruity finish. It is a really nice whiskey. My only complaint, and it is a very mild one, is that this hits us with a lot of spice up front. It's not an alcohol heat, it is intentional, but it hits hard at first. And listen, I can deal with a bit of spice, and I don't think it throws off the balance completely, but I also don't think it helps it. Minor complaint though, and eventually that spice does settle, and then we move on to a very rich and rounded red fruit finish, and that's where this whiskey really shines. Also, I suppose I could complain about the price, not because I think it's overpriced, not because I don't think it's worth it. It's just that from the 4 whiskeys in the lineup, this one is the most expensive, and because it's A, the most expensive, and B, not my favorite, it is lower in the ranking. Is it a delicious whiskey? Yes. Do I recommend it? Yes, but it comes in at number 3, Crimson Casks. Next up at number 2, and just missing out on the top spot, we've got Nectarosity, which interestingly is the only blended whiskey on this list. The other ones are blended malt. This one is a regular blended whiskey, meaning we do have a grain component in here. And our breakdown for this one is 35.7% comes from Cameron Bridge and Girvan. It's got to be Girvan. And the remaining 64% is malt whiskey from Kleinlich, Linkwood, and Balmenach. And our casks are bourbon, refill sherry hogsheads, and one Palo Cortado cask, which you don't actually see too often. I think this one's really well put together. There's lots of like pastry and cakey notes. There's vanilla, there's honey, there's citrus, there's juicy fruits. There's even like a creamy, almost sandalwoody note in here. This is a juicy, dessert-leaning whiskey without being too heavy, and flavor-wise, I would say that this sits between Crimson Casks and Orchard House. This isn't as heavy on the casks, the dark fruits, the spices. This leans more into bourbon territory than Crimson Casks. Oppositely, it's got more cask influence and weight than something like Orchard House, which has that sort of like razor clean, distillate-driven character. So this one really is, as I said, sits between the two, but it's really nice. This is more juicy, it's more orangey, it's more pastry shop, it's balanced, it's delicious. It's not doing anything too trailblazing. You've had a lot of these flavors before, but it's just a nice casual sipper with some quality behind it. Comes in at number 2, Nectarosity. All right, we made it to number 1, and you're never gonna guess what number 1 is. It's Orchard House. Same specs as all the others, 46% non-chill filtered, natural color. This one is a banger of a whiskey. It is built around very fruit forward, very orchardy, malt forward whiskey. What do we have in here? We have Clynelish, Glenmurray, and Linkwood at the core. There's actually a waxiness to this whiskey, which is surely from the Clynelish. Also, about 2% of this is composed of Kalila whiskey, so that's going to add a nice, very faint, very gentle little smoky touch, but it does add some extra dimension, some extra complexity to the whiskey. The casks here are going to be mostly ex-bourbon, and the focus is clearly on the quality of the distillate here. Now, I love a good cask-forward whiskey if it's well executed, but my favorite kind of whiskey is where the casks and the distillate work in conjunction and the distillate really shines through behind the casks. That's very much the case here. So aside from the fact that this is the cheapest whiskey in the entire lineup, I also think it's the most honest because it is so distillate driven, and there's just a whole lot of quality and care put into this whiskey. It is beautifully blended, and as I said, this is just a character that I vibe with. This is bright, it's crisp, it's clean, it's a great summer whiskey. I often compare it to Glencaddam 10. Not that it tastes similar, but if you like Glencaddam 10, you're probably going to like this one. Yeah, beautiful stuff. And I named this my whiskey of the year because single malt or not, I think this is just one of the best whiskeys in its price range. It is incredibly affordable and the quality absolutely shines here. So it had to be number 1, it had to be whiskey of the year, and it is my top recommendation from the brand, Orchard House. All right, that was the list, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is the part where I reach out to you guys. What have you tried from the Compass Box lineup? What is your favorite? Have you tried all 4? What are your general thoughts on the brand? You can let me know all of that down below. As for the mystery pour, as I mentioned earlier, this is a very popular blended whiskey. It's not a blended malt, it's a blended whiskey, and it comes in a 500 ml bottle. What I'm drinking is Nika from the Barrel. This is a beautiful, well put together, higher ABV Japanese blend. It is a blended whiskey. It's not a blended malt. I don't think we can call it a Japanese whiskey. There should be a touch of Ben Nevis in this as well, so we can't quite call it a Japanese whiskey. Obviously, they put it together in Japan, and it has that Japanese precision that we all know and love. Apparently, there's a new sister bottling to this called Extra Marriage. It's not an extra cask or anything. It's just 6 months longer in the casks, so it's going to be a little bit more mature than this one. Limited release. I do hope I can try it this year, maybe give it a review, but we'll see about that. But yeah, this stuff, really good. It's a go-to. 500 ml bottle, yes, but still pretty good bang for buck. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you want to help support the channel, I will put Patreon and PayPal links down below. Any little bit helps. This whole channel is me. Obviously scripting, shooting, editing. It's a one-man show, so any contribution, very much appreciated. Where are my patrons? Are here. My patrons are here, lovely people. And I guess we'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.